styrer du bare tempoet.
Yeah. Right. I think we're live. Hi, everyone. I am here with Martin Davidson, who recently participated in the Danish Nationals. Martin is not a tournament player. Can we say that, Martin?
Yes, you can.
But Martin participated, and you have for a long time you've been wanting to get more games in. I think like real life has sometimes been prohibitive in that respect, which it can be for all of us, right? And finally you managed to get a whole tournament in, and this was your first major tournament. Is that right?
Well, I did one 9 years ago, but not
9 years
in a
ago, so
meta like this.
not
A
in a
lot of
meta
help.
like this. So.
Nah.
But you brought Martin brought a very lovely Australian army,
Thank
which
you.
won the coolest, best painted army at the event. Because it's something that I guess you can talk a little bit about in a minute, Martin.
Yes.
And afterwards, Martin had a lot of questions, and Martin actually thought, well, maybe we could do this as a live Q&A sort of thing, and this is what you're watching now. So hi everyone, hi Martin, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And how did you think the tournament went overall?
I met a lot of lovely gamers. I like the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I've been playing tournaments in all sorts of games, Warhammer, Fantasy, and everything, and there was a good atmosphere. I didn't see anyone sort of argue sort of badly. Of course, there's Christian, and there was be a usual TO running around, but I like the atmosphere, and there's a lot of majority is really nice gamers, and I love definitely.
Yeah. And I think that's a feature of historical games, and maybe especially Bold Action, because it's one of the few like historical competitive games, really, and along with Flames of War, I guess. We are a little bit different, I think, from other tournament tabletop games, a little bit.
Yes.
Also in this that the tables are so much nicer to look at.
Oh yes, that was some beautiful
really,
tables.
Yeah, they were really good, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and you had brought your Australians to the tournament. Like, talk us through what you did before the tournament, and like what was your idea for a tournament army for someone who hadn't played tournaments?
Well, I looked at the meta, and I tried to look up some of the videos and look at army list which you put up, and others did. And the army itself doesn't really sort of match the tournament game, but it has some things we can use. And so I brought some extra flamethrower teams and some extra transport for those. And I sort of half my army can forward deploy, which give me a lot of ball control in some scenarios, and that could be really good. Plus, it is a really good skirmish army. It can enter from the sides, and if I choose the raiding parties, I don't have to choose what side. It can be good, really good.
Yeah, that can be really powerful, actually.
Yes.
Yes, and the Australian national special rules are a little bit, for me, a little bit situational. Did they come into play for you often?
No, I chose to stop on one where whole my army gets stopped, and that's good.
Yeah.
I used it a few times, and afterwards, I have this aggressive patrolling special rule, which I'm the one putting my first observer up, and you have to be 18 inches away from me. It can be so strong in some of the scenarios, but I think 3 or 4 of them didn't allow forward deploy. So it sort of level out, and if I don't have my Australian sort of special rules active, I don't have a lot of firepower.
So that was basically your like summary after the tournament, that you felt like you lacked firepower.
Yes, definitely. I can only choose 2 tanks, a Stuart and a Matilda, and of course I chose a Daka Stuart. And I really often need my quick sort of running armored car. In several situations, I was have a tank duel with an armored car and another Stuart, and they could just sort of encircle me.
because there were two of them and you only had one.
Yes, especially against the Russians, having a Stuart and a BA-10, that's quite cool compared to my army.
Yeah.
So yes, I lack the sort of the rolling armored toys. I did bring 3 brain carriers, but they are bringing engineers and flamethrowers. Lots of them. 3. I had 3.
So not really a danger at range, which is that duel that you were talking about, the tank duel where you sit in opposite sides of the table shooting from cover, and he had 2 shots, you have 1. He's going to win that at some point. That the math just isn't good, right? Yeah.
Nah, that was quite exciting. But I played Merrick from Poland in the last game, and he was quite good at that tank duel. Very careful setting up. He actually gave me the terrain in the front, and sort of squeezed me in the end. And we have a good time.
Simply by placement.
Yes, he placed 3 units in each corner, so he knew I could deploy from whatever corner, and had a lot of deployers coming in from the side, reinforcements. So he actually took 2, I think 12 men of reinforcements and snipers and stuff in the corners. So it couldn't really come in. It was very, very nice.
Blocked you. Yeah.
Yes, and all in ambush.
Oh, yeah, that makes it extra difficult. Because you're going to walk into that ambush no matter what you do, even in a brain carrier. I mean, at some point you're going to have to get out.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. But it's a brilliant game, and that's why actually we are talking now, because I want to sort of search out what possibilities there are. I saw your German video about how we could make the Germans better, and I agree totally on every suggestion, and they are really, really exciting, some of them.
Yeah, some of them could make a huge difference. I think they're not like at this point they're not well thought out. It's not something I've game tested or like thought about the points values or stuff, but it's just like my initial ideas for like, if you want to give Germany an edge, then break the game in small ways or give them something free. And there's like, and I think that could actually be a thing for most nations. That's a way to differentiate also the different armies in different areas who may have had like this special thing going on. So
imagine a German armored car 251 could assault from the vehicle directly. That would be so much German.
Yeah, it would. It really would. Right. So you, after the event, after the Danish National, you had a bunch of questions lined up, and I think we should just start with one of them and then see where we go from there.
Yes, I played a nice Swedish young man. He had sort of leaf blower Japanese list. I think he went second in the tournament. So I'm thinking about Simon. Yes, he was very nice. Very hard army to play against as an Australian, sadly, because they did it. But it's a discussion. I'm looking at my notes here. It's discussion about leaf blower contra attacking, because there were 8 Italian gamers with loads of black shirts and horses, and they are difficult to tackle. If is a good player who can skirmish in and take you when he wants, that's nice. Even maybe better than the Gurkhas. I don't know. I would have a think.
That can be argued. I don't think so, but yeah. If you talk to Michael Christensen, he may argue that they are. But okay, yeah. So the question here is, how do you play against a leaf blower army? Or
yes, it should lead to a choice of army, because I'm capable of painting my stuff, and that's how I relax. So the next army for the next tournament should be painted, so I can try to learn maybe a new playing style, because my Australians, they love cover, they love their forward deployment, and if they don't have it in a bit open space, I only have rifles.
Yeah. And so the Australians is classical skirmish army. That's what I would term them, and like Americans basically, which is also a really great skirmish, possibly even better than the Australians. The Australians have a lot of nice special rules, but a limited roster for me.
Yes.
So if you're looking for another play style, and assault armies against leaf blower armies, for instance. what I usually do, and I have actually faced quite a lot of leaf blower armies, I usually win. Let's say like that. The quickest win I've ever had in bolt action was 12 minutes against the leaf blower army. I finished the game in 12 minutes.
I can do that on the losing side.
Yes. Which was against Michael Christensen. We looked at the game 12 minutes in, and he was like, I cannot win this, and I agreed, you cannot win this, and we like, okay, we'll stop the game here. So what happens when you have a leaf blower army is typically you'll be very fixed. Like you can't move your army a lot.
No.
Because most of your guns will have fixed attacks to them, or they will be at least very vulnerable if you move them out of cover. So on a standard terrain table, you'll have to do what I call pie slicing, which is a term that I borrowed from Infinity the game, where there's a lot of looking at models and what can you actually see from this model. If I can see like that bit there, then I can move to this point. So basically you're using the shadow of line of sight blocking terrain to move. And that's the main thing that I do against leaf blower armies is I use the terrain, I use the shadows of terrain to stay in the shadow most of the time. At some point you're gonna have to go out, and that is where you need something that can pin the enemy. Because when you need to move out and you need to like shoot them or whatever, you need something that can pin the enemy or something that the enemy cannot kill, which is where you use tanks at long range. So some people use their armored cars, so they will at the end of the turn, if like there's a howitzer sitting and it's already gone, it's shot at them infantry or something, they'll drive their armored car out, shoot, and then next turn, if the howitzer goes first, shoot back at them, they'll recce away, and then the howitzer is already gone. If it doesn't shoot back, it'll go on ambush. Then something else will shoot the howitzer, and now the howitzer is pinned, and still the armored car is still sitting there, and you can still fire at it or something. So basically, you're trying to make it about having multiple units that can at the same time try to pin from different angles with different like weapon systems, try to pin whatever howitzer, and because he's immobile, he's stuck there. He's stuck in that duel where you have 3 units, he has 1. And that is how you break down leaf blower armies. On open tables, that turns very, very difficult. Very difficult. So a leaf blower army is more or less unbeatable on an open table. If it can see everything,
I played Simon, and the table was far in the corner, and he could see 75% of the whole table with 3 a Horo and a heavy howitzer and a heavy mortar. And I couldn't really hide my army.
No, you can't. And if you activate before he does, he's going to shoot you when you can't go down. If you don't activate, his infantry is going to push against you, and at some point, because he's playing Japanese, he's going to assault you, and you're dead. So on a table like that, for me, you had very little chance. When we started the Danish national team, I often had an expression. We like thought a lot about why is it that some games go against you and some games you win, and we were like, if 3 factors of the game go against you, you lose. So if the table isn't your table because it doesn't fit your army or whatever, that's one point. If the mission is wrong for your army, that's another point. If the dice draw of the dice bag is against your army, then that's the third point. You've definitely lost now. So I think that's the way to think about it, that there are certain things that will go against your army. And if you think about it like that, you'll also start building armies that can maybe deal with some of those problems.
Correct. That was why I would like to. I would like to have a go again, but it's a difficult army too. He charged me the 45 models, and I had 32 shots. But that's a matchup who will do it. That will always happen. I was thinking about asking you about Death Stars. I saw a few ones, KV2 and ISU 152, 152. And they seem to do all right, but I had to game at the moment.
Yeah, most tournaments Death Stars don't do well at. We do have
No.
some exceptions. There are like a few tournaments where you see suddenly like there's one guy who makes a Death Star list and does well. But most like national tournaments, at least in Europe, and most open tournaments, which are those where you'll see some international players go to those. You won't see Death Stars doing well. They'll maybe, if they're really good players, you'll see them come mid-table. And we do see some of the Danish players who continually bring Death Star lists. They become very, very good at using, like you mentioned, the SU 152, which is often brought by a player here in Denmark called Steen. I have I have lost to Steen with that SU 152 with my Gurkhas, my overpowered double Darker Steward Gurkhas. I've lost games to him, not tournament games, but still I've lost games to him because he's very, very good at using it.
He loves it.
He loves his SU. So I think one of the things that is prohibitive for Death Stars is that players don't play them enough, and they're very, very difficult to make work. Especially in bold action, because you have those 6-7 turns, and if you shoot your Death Star early in your turn, then the enemy is going to go down. If you don't use it, then you're going to get pinned and maybe you fail. So they usually don't pay their points. So the Death Stars, no, they're really difficult, and for players who do, like, they're a labor of love more than something that they bring to win tournaments.
I
so
love
far.
It. I think. What about the vehicles like the Russian T-34 flamethrowers in the wagon and gun and a flamethrower? That's a bit hard.
Yeah, that is one of the few Death Stars that I am generally scared of. The problem with that is, like all other Death Stars, that it's very, very expensive. Like the OT-34, I can't remember the points value, but it is very expensive. The good thing about it is that it can shoot at 2 units a turn, and it can absolutely kill those 2 units. You'll often miss, but it can kill those units. Yeah, it can. And I have seen it. I have seen it done. I have seen in a game where an OT-34 was used by Michael Christensen, where in one turn he killed a steward and a full unit of Gurkhas with the flamethrower on the Gurkhas, and the steward just got medium anti-tank gun.
Just won the game.
So that was a lot of points, and he just won game in that one move. But I've also seen it do absolutely nothing, get pinned, and just sit there for a whole game. Which is where you put too many points in that one unit, and if you get pinned and don't do a thing. I
did follow the mouse tank, and of course he had some hard games. He maybe had a hard weekend.
He had a very hard weekend,
but he got a nice prize.
He did.
I think that.
I mean, it should always be like that, shouldn't it? If you've had the rough weekend, you really should go home with something really nice, because you need a consolation prize of some sort.
Yes, of course, we're all having fun. That's my tribute to all the nice players I met in the game. And I think I had 10 or 12 new friends on Facebook just adding me, and I see I met you at the tournament. And I am going. The winner, Aaron, I made a deal with him. I'm going down there in January, and we will go to a tournament together against each other. Yes.
Nice.
And I will bring. I so much hope I will bring my Australian army and show it to them down there. And put it in
bring it to Australia. Yeah.
That's nice. Well, I was going to ask you about different army types. It's no secret I sold my Finnish. I love them, but I was just pummeled during the year. Not only in nice games, but if you look away from the Germans, which they have a big potential, but I think they're quite difficult. What about all the new Italians coming in? I love Case Blue, the book, and both the cavalry and the
new Italians. Yes, the new Italians. There's really something there. We saw that during the weekend. So many players bringing Italians. Of course, the top players were not playing Italians. We had a Polish list, we had a Russian list, we have a Japanese list. That was the top 3 lists, right?
That's good.
which is good spread. I really like that spread. I also love that the tournament. I would have liked to see my Gurkhas in the tournament, right? Because but I wasn't playing, so what do I care?
They will come again.
But the thing that happened with the limitations of this tournament opened it up for a lot of different nations. So, and I think that there's really something in challenge. We didn't really see it like they weren't overpowered, but we did see some players like Michael Eistrup, who have brought an Italian list. I actually tried to record this game, but there was a technical difficulty. He played against Michael Christensen, and they had brought two lists not very similar. Michael Eistrup had brought regular Fnatic tough fighters. Michael Christian had brought veteran Fnatic tough fighters with one huge unit, like an 18-man Death Star unit. And they actually fought a game against each other.
Nice.
And the recording messed up, unfortunately. But Michael Eistrup, with the regulars, he won that game, which is really interesting. And he did so by pinning down the veterans. So shooting at them, pinning them, and then just going after everything else. So I think the Italians really have something, especially with Case Blue. I think that there's a lot of good to be said for them. And you can both go the route of what we talked about, the M battalions, the Fanatics here, or you can go the route of which we saw another player do, the Alpini, which has Mountaineer, which he could he like Caspar, he could run through terrain, and people were like, I can't do a thing. This is a ruin board. This is Stalingrad. And he just runs through the whole table. I can't stop him.
Yes,
and that's
true.
Very
exciting. I like the mix of the Italians.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do now, but you have to choose, right? Like the British, you have to choose which route am I going here. And then of course, Italian autocannons are just like they are really good at this point in time. They're really good.
Yes, and just the anti-tank rifle, just to bring it for fun. But I talked to Per with also Italian. He had a lot of horses. I don't remember his surname. Really nice player as well. He said in the end he maybe had too many horses, but I also think it's a learning curve, of course.
I think so.
But the one Italian list with only one unit of cavalry, that's quite exciting. A lot of horses were there. I think the Italian deserved it, and then it should be natural that the Germans should get some of the same.
A little bit of a treatment as well might be nice for the Germans.
Yes. I always think. I was actually trying to, when I'm going down under, I could play my Australians as British, pinned up a box of Gurkhas, of course, and get the multi-rocket launcher to support it. So actually, I would be able to have an army which can stand up to some sort of punishment. I will have to.
And of course, the Australians with the Australian hats, they look very much like the army uniforms are very much what the Brits wore in Burma. So they could easily be Chindits. Add in a few of the helmets, the British helmets, and you're basically good. You're good to go. Yeah.
Could be.
Be aware though. Be aware though that the land mattress for the Brits is not always available. So it really depends on the event itself. Some TOs may allow it, some might not. It's still debatable whether it is for generic Grid Force platoons. So at the WTC I got to bring one, but I think perhaps the Danish nationals you couldn't. So
no, you couldn't. Okay.
No. So so it's always a good idea when you go to the tournament as soon as possible, see the pack, see what's allowed, and then if you're in any doubt, like write to the TO and ask him, what can is this okay or is it not?
I like the British playing style. What they can do, they can do so much, and they have all the supports. I very often listen to Benny saying, well, you should play Russian because they can do everything. But that's true. But still, You have a lot of small Russian units who can do stuff, but if you are pinned or getting hit, I won one of the games in the tournament from that one, just taking out one unit each turn and winning by slow death, 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, 1,000 cuts. Yeah, which you can do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just concentrating the fire on so many regular or experienced units to take them out. Last question is about I missed you. What I just have to think before I go to any sort of tournament, I will find some, maybe Bjarne, some Japanese players and see what I can do, because I know you played against a lot of Japanese.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
But I will have to. I will do bowl action college and sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, that is always a good idea, actually. And for me, it's one of the best things actually about going to tournaments is that the prep session, the games that I play before the tournament, where I get to hang out with my mates and play games, which it's a really cool thing, and it's really enjoyable, I think. And what we often do is we'll look through the lists and say, well, my biggest problem is Brits or Japanese, whatever. And then one of I'll come and get my face kicked in with a Japanese list, and he does so, and that means that you get the practice in, which is really nice, and you sort of get a feel for what a Japanese player would do in certain situations. So when you get to the tournament, you won't be completely surprised.
I know you love playing against Japanese with the Gurkhas, and I can see the appeal to it. Definitely.
Yep.
Because it's
for me, with very good assault armies, if you're like top tier assault armies, and playing against Japanese, which are not a top tier assault army, they're really good at like assaulting skirmish armies. So like Japanese against Americans, if you get into assault range, then the Japanese are going to absolutely murder them. But if they go up against a top tier assault army, like the Polish Lancers or the Gurkhas, if they go up against them, they are going to get cut down. Because if the Gurkhas get the charge off, then I will kill a full unit of inexperienced dudes in one go before he even hits me back. So I win the close combat, and then I just continue on into the next, and that is what I will do in like tournaments if I get to the assault. Getting to the assault can always be the problem for all assault armies. It sounds as if I'm just going to like rush at the enemy. That doesn't happen ever. It's always like a chess piece. I'm setting up the assaults very slowly, and in turn 4 or turn 3 sometimes, then the assaults start happening, and I start taking dice out of my enemy's army.
Yeah, that's exciting. I was looking at the pack for Zealand National in June.
Zealand Open, yes.
Yes, Zealand Open, yes. That is 2, can be 1 to 2 platoons. So that's a whole other question compared to. I would not bring my friends, but they could take a lot of howitzers in that scenario.
Yes, they could. Yes, I mean a leaf blower French army could really, because you could take 3 howitzers, 2, 1 in each platoon, and then a free one, and then you could take mortars. So that is 5 HE shots, and on top of that, you could see if you could find a howitzer tank. So that would be 6 HE shots.
The Sharpie has one, but yes, but
yes,
that's expensive.
It does. Yeah, it
well,
is.
But it I wouldn't bring it, but to think of it, I did play print my Beverly, the first one, so closed armored transport, and I will have to try to use it in some way together with my top fighter unit. So that's not dead.
But it does sound as if we two need to do a further video at some point where we talk about Zealand Open and your thoughts about going into that tournament, because it's actually kind of interesting talking to someone not at the very sharp end of the competitive tournament here. I think a lot of people can learn from this conversation. I think it's really good. So do you have any final questions before we turn up for today?
No, I will just show you my what's my camera. Here we are. It's not a backshot.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I'm working at the moment. It's on my painting disc. I have to try sometimes, but I'm still sort of, I like my green uniforms, so I'm still into the British. Let's see. I would have to think about a list, and I will send it in to you with 2 platoons and see what you really think about. I never did it, but I will try.
Yeah, do so, and then we can do a further video where we talk about what you're going to do at Zealand Open. So
yes, that would be nice.
Right.
Nice talk, and have a nice time. Many thoughts.
Many thoughts.
Yes.
Right. That was it, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today in this Q&A live session with Martin, and we will see each other again, Martin.
We will. Thank you
That's
for
it.
today. Okay.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.